Hey guys, Brian here again. Today we're going to talk about an awesome vehicle that's kind of hard to get. Today we're talking about the 2023 Toyota Highlander Hybrid LE. So, Toyota Highlander, you've seen them before, you've heard of them. If you haven't heard of the Highlander, you're probably living under a rock. This is Toyota's best-selling third-row vehicle. There is the Sequoia, which is a larger one, but if you're looking for something with a bit more space than the RAV4, or say you don't even need the third row and you just want to be a little higher off the ground, this is the truck to get. We're looking at an SUV that has almost 20 competitors in its segment, and it still rises to the top with a lot of standard safety equipment that we're going to go over today. But unlike most of my videos, I like to start with the exterior and then work my way inside. So let's begin. So starting in 2020, the Highlander changed and the new generation began. With the new Highlander, you went from more straight edge to lots of curves. The interesting thing about the design of the Highlander is, from a distance, it still kind of resembles its previous generation, but as you get closer, you can really start to appreciate the classy look of all the different curves. Unlike all of the new cars with the massive grills in the front, you still have a regular sized grille on the Highlander, which on the LE Hybrid is piano black, giving it a very nice, classy, tasteful touch, especially going very nicely with the black paint that this one has. Something nice to see standard at the base level, which with the Highlander Hybrid, the base is the LE, is the LED headlights and fog lights. So there's no special package you have to get. You enjoy LED lighting standard, which is great for the nighttime visibility, no matter which Highlander you get. Coming up close to the Highlander's face, it does have a very nice prominent cheek with a fake vent on the bezel for the fog lights, which I don't personally have a problem with. I think it's nice to have a little bit of stuff going on here. And they do very nice with the carving and the plastic. Nothing looks cheap on the Highlander. And working our way up, you still have those muscles and bumps that you had on the last generation. Instead of just a flat, like, clamshell hood, you actually have some design here, which the black does hide in certain lighting. But it's nice to see the muscle kind of popping out. You can even see on the side of the face here, it's got that prominent cheek. You got the muscle lines. Toyota did a great job sculpting the Highlander. The color we're looking at today is called Midnight Black Metallic, which has been around for a while. It's a black paint with a fleck to it. If you look really close, it has little blue and silver flecks, which we won't be able to see today because of the overcast. But look at the way a brand new black Highlander looks. And with some different lighting from this side, you can really see, like I've mentioned in some other Highlander videos, but if you're new to the channel, thank you so much for checking me out. You can really see those hips showing with the lighting on this side, but on the other side of the car, they disappear, which is one of the cool things about black. And working our way closer, pretty standard on most Toyotas are the non-painted fender flares here, which really do take a beating nicely for gravel, salt, dirt, rocks, objects, and it retains that nice rugged look that Toyota has a history of being rugged with lots of off-roading in the past and present. Standard on the Highlander LE Hybrid are the 18-inch wheels and tires. It's going to be an all-season tire. Most Toyota stores will rotate between a couple different tire brands, but this is considered an all-season tire. The exact size is 235/65 R18 with a simple 5-spoke alloy wheel, which interestingly enough resembles very closely the alloy wheel that you get on the Toyota RAV4. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, this might actually be the same exact shape as the RAV4 XLE. I'm going to have to look into that because this resembles it a lot now that we're down here looking at it. Working our way up to the side of the vehicle, it's nice to see, even at the base level, a painted color matching mirror with a turn signal on the side. It's a quick, easy fold, which is nice. No electronic mechanism to brake and act up. But, you know, something in the history, especially with Toyota, was on base models, especially the RAV4, you get the non-painted plastic here with no turn signal. It's nice to see at that base level we have that turn signal, great for safety, especially on a dark vehicle, with the color matching, which just really takes away from that cheapness look, and it keeps it looking classy, and it keeps it looking fresh. Working our way down on the dark side of the Highlander, it's really interesting to see the body lines here. Like I mentioned before, the hip lines are very prominent, and they really do swish up and tie very nicely into the taillights here. I really see the design, and with the headlights here, you have that brow that comes up, and everything just comes together, and on the back, things are just kind of getting very fast. So let's work our way onto the back. These body lines all come together, things are shooting out, and you're greeted with these really good looking taillights Super bright red LEDs. And I gotta say, if there's a color to get on the Highlander, in my humble opinion, black is the color to get, because these LED lights at nighttime, they look sick against that black paint. And it just looks very, very nice and sporty back here, especially with these horns on the back of the wing. Some people mention, you know, why didn't Toyota put the rear wiper up top tucked away in the wing like the older Siennas? I don't know, honestly, but I could see, you know, I've worked with Toyota for a while. I could see one of the reasons being for the point of easy access for replacement or repair. I don't think it's necessarily laziness on Toyota's part. I just think they like to make things easy to work on and easy to repair, but I could be wrong. I don't design the vehicles. We still are retaining, just like in the front, the blue shadow on the hybrid badge here. So that's how you tell it's a hybrid. Also have the hybrid symbol over here. And just working our way to the side again, there no longer exists the hybrid badge on the fender like there used to be a couple years ago. So that's gone, in case you haven't been in the market in a while. But yeah, now on the center of the body, there is not a non-painted plastic here like you'd see on the RAV4. So you only have the non-painted plastic here and here with the mud flap and coming around the back. Of course, on the front lip as well. So these are going to kind of break up the colors if you have different color schemes. And it's just going to take a beating, because a lot of the dirt that comes flying out, it builds up over here. And it just, you know, if you have paint here, it would take the beating a lot more than this non-painted plastic will. They're very, very good looking vehicles. In my opinion, I think they did very nice with this generation, but I think we spent enough time on the outside. Let's pop the hood and see what's powering the 2023 Highlander. So big changes, whether you go with the gas model or the hybrid. The power plant under the hood is a 2.4 liter 4-cylinder with a single turbo, mated to the eCVT transmission, or if you get the gas model, it's an 8-speed geared transmission. Don't mistake Toyota. The CVT-E or eCVT, however you say it, is not the same as most CVTs. So it's built to be much more reliable than your typical CVT. You can look further into that online, but people are very happy with the way it performs, which we'll see when we drive it. And it's a big change. People are used to the V6. So with the V6, we had 295 horsepower, which we're now down to 265, but the V6 had 263 torque, and we're now up to 310. And this is giving you 35 miles per gallon down the board, which is 35 city, 35 highway with a blend of 35. So a lot more efficient. Believe it or not, the Highlander Hybrid actually has better gas mileage some of the older Camrys, Corollas, or even Honda Accords and Civics. So you're getting amazing gas mileage in this vehicle. And if you're unfamiliar with the hybrids, the way it works is you have your hybrid battery in the back underneath. You have your regular 4-cylinder turbo Toyota engine, and at lower speeds, the vehicle decides when it's appropriate to take the engine off, but the car is still on. So you can drive it as an electric car sometimes. At your higher speeds, you're gonna have the gasoline engine on. So what this does is it enhances your gas mileage. And another thing is, there's nothing you need to do. You don't have to worry about plugging it in. It only drives as an electric car sometimes, and that's why we call it a hybrid. Sometimes it's an electric car, sometimes it's a gas car. It does all the thinking for you. One of the main benefits is, as opposed to the gas model, there isn't a mechanical connection between the front and back axles. So you don't have a drive shaft, you don't have the moving parts. You have a separate motor over here, you have a separate motor over there. Those are called the electric motors, and they power the axles individually, and they communicate with each other. So you're saving on the wear and tear, which is a big plus, of course, with less weight, less wear and tear, and just less stuff to think about. Another great thing, speaking of the hybrid system, is that you will be front-wheel drive most of the time if you bought the all-wheel drive model, and the vehicle knows when it's time to kick in the back wheels. It's going to do it all on its own. It determines when it's necessary. For instance, if it senses any type of wheel slip or you're hard on the accelerator, it'll then kick in the back wheels. It does all the thinking. Toyota's done this for a long time, and they've been very successful. This saves you money because you're not driving those back wheels all the time, which increases the wear on the tires. Another benefit to going hybrid with the Highlander is that your braking system is called regenerative brakes, which means they actually work a bit better than the gas model brakes, because these brakes are designed to collect kinetic energy during braking and send it back to the battery to recharge it. It's amazing, and you don't have to actually replace the brakes as often as your gas models. But without the presence of an alternator, drive belt, or a starter, getting the hybrid just has all these different benefits that you may want to consider if you were typically a gas model person. or you were unfamiliar and really weren't sure if the hybrid was for you, these vehicles are definitely designed for all different types of people to enjoy without you having to do anything extra. So I think that's enough under the hood with the power plant. Let's get inside, work our way to the back, and talk about the cargo space. So with the simple push of a button right here under the emblem, your lightweight hatchback opens up over a second faster than the last generation, welcoming you to 16 cubic feet of space with the third row folded up. Now, by pulling on these little levers real quick and letting the headrest go down, it's very simple to fold down that third row, welcoming you now with 48 cubic feet of space and a 5-seater, since all of the LEs come with the bench seat for the middle row. There are some levers on the side of the middle row. If I pull number 1 and then number 2, it actually folds down the seat completely. So by quickly doing this on both sides, say it's just me or it's me and somebody else, I've now unlocked just over 84 feet of cubic space on the Highlander Hybrid, turning this thing into a little pickup truck. And speaking of pickup trucks and towing, the Highlander can still tow 3,500 pounds. In this setup, it is rated for 3,500 pounds, which is more than the RAV4, unless you were looking at the RAV4 Adventure. But let's get back in the cargo area. So as you already know from me showing you, the spare tire is underneath the body, but if I pull up this little loop over here, I have some extra storage for emergency gear. And of course my tools and jack inside of here. And there's another loop I can pull up for additional storage for different stuff there. And a fun fact about the Highlander and a lot of other Toyotas not a lot of people know is that there are these little clips here that you can actually fold in your seatbelt and take the seatbelt clip, stick it in there, and it keeps them out of the way so they're not snagging on stuff like that one might do. But I'm just going to release this for you. To bring the third row back up, I simply pull on this rope, and I have to put the headrest up, and I can hold this up to recline it a little bit more like this. Very easy to do. Another nice thing about the Highlander is that there are reading lights in all 3 rows, cup holders in all 3 rows, and vents in all 3 rows, so everybody can be comfortable traveling in the Highlander. But speaking about comfort, let's jump in the third row and talk about what the space is like. Okay, so we were designated to sit in the very back row of the Highlander. By pulling on lever number 1, I release the recliner and I can simply take my hand and slide the seat forward, and I'm basically going to climb inside. Like so. Okay. And then I can grab the seat over here and select when I want it to come back. It's definitely tight back here. And right over here, it might be a little tough to see with the lighting. So I have black pants on. This is back all the way, which if I scoot back over here, it's gonna be really uncomfortable for me. My legs are pretty much spread and they're pushed against this. Over here, it's still back pretty far, but in a more upright position. There we go. This unlocks a little bit more space for me here. So I'm sitting here about 5'10" on a good day, and I'm doing all right. Now, like I showed you before, I can recline my seat a little bit more with this lever. If I pull that lever back and recline the seat, it opens up a little bit more comfort for me. But I have this little retractable third seat belt that I gotta get clipped back in there. Otherwise, that's kind of hitting me on the head. I would say back here is definitely gonna be for your smaller people, but if you have all adults that are under 6 feet, it's definitely doable. I have probably about 6 inches of space here. However, my passengers in the front have very minimal leg room, which I'll show you in just a moment. So we have to find that middle ground. I would say with about 2 inches of space, 3 inches of space, I'm fine. But right here, we're looking at about 6 inches of space. And my knees are definitely bent. They're not resting flat on the cushion. In fact, it's actually physically impossible for me to rest my femur flat on this cushion. I have to be a much smaller person because I can't get my feet far out enough to get that femur down. But scrunched up like this, I'd say for maybe a 20-30 minute ride, say we're doing a family outing, cool. But you know, a 2-hour drive, I probably won't be super happy back here as a grown adult. But as a kid, got my cup holders, seat belts locked in, you know, the window's a decent size to look around. You kind of feel like you're in your little spaceship. You're tucked in, you're safe. Got the AC vent up top in case I get a little hot. If I am a kid that reads, got my light, I can read my little book, do what I'm doing. Good to go. Let's go into the middle row. So to get out as a back passenger, I have to pull up this lever here and push this away. And basically what I'm doing is the opposite. I'm kind of climbing out, which you'll notice this is all plastic over here. So there's only carpet over here where you're not stepping, and it's nice that Toyota made this all plastic because we know the shoes are going to be on there and that area is going to be taking a beating. So let me crawl out. Definitely got to be the athletic type or small. Then I bring this back, and you can see right here, these are very far up. So I actually have to use the slider lever, which is this one without the number, to slide it forward and back. Now in most cars, it's actually kind of tough to do. Let me do it with this hand. On most cars, you would have a bar over here, but I guess Toyota figured this would be suffice since there's other switches over there. Let me hop in. Okay, so this one's definitely further back. This one's all the way forward. If I sit over here, I mean, you guys can see I'm definitely going to be pushed way against this. And that seat could definitely go forward a little bit more. But like I said, in the Highlander, we're not talking Ford Excursion here. You know, we're definitely talking manageable space. But the people that have these, they're happy with them. When I close the door, I don't have that sliding privacy shade that I see on the XLE. So if you like more amenities, the XLE is definitely something to consider. But this one priced at $43,500. You're definitely getting a great vehicle with lots of safety equipment, which is coming next. But back to the space, huge windows, definitely a lot more visibility for the middle row than the back row. Let me show you the other side. A little less claustrophobia. I get a little claustrophobic in the third rows. Lights are over here now instead of up here like they used to be, and the vent is over here. Now, a change that I notice is that they did put the vent up here for the Highlander on some of them. I think the ones with the sunroof. I prefer the vent diagonal so it can blow down onto my chest and neck. If you get the Highlander with the vent up here, you really got to perfect that location. Otherwise, it's just going to blow on top of your scalp. So just a little bit of feedback from me because I have used the Highlander. We keep a few in the rental fleet, and you know, if people need to use them that work there, sometimes they can. So I'm experienced with the Highlander. I prefer the diagonal vents personally. There is an LCD readout for the climate, so the rear passengers do have full control. Of course, you can control that from the front as well, right over on the climate control system. And down below, I have 2 additional USBs with 3 in the front for a total of 5. No USBs in the third row, but there are 2 pockets. Normally, there's one just on this side so the driver can reach diagonally, but you get one on both, which is nice. As far as material inside, you have these Toyota classic channeled floor mats. They keep the water where they need to be. For the fabric here, definitely I get the feel that this fabric will last a very long time. It's definitely not soft, but it's not coarse either. It's built to last, it's built to take the beating, because we know what the Highlander's made to do. The Highlander's made to click these in, get the car seat, or load them up with people. You're busy, you're going places. It's a tool made to do the job. It's not a luxury SUV. This is not a Platinum. So we went over this. Another nice thing I just want to share is these don't get lost like they do in some cars. So it's really great to be able to do the classic mom, dad, uncle, aunt, grandma, grandpa, done. No fighting it. I've seen on some other brands, these just disappear into a black vortex. Plastic here, pretty hard plastic. We have actually a soft cloth material here that's slightly padded. So that matches the seat. It's actually the same fabric that's on the seat right over here. And then we have a slightly cush fake leather over here with a real stitch. So that's pretty nice to see. And then the hardest plastics are going to be down below with a tray for 2 bottles and some knickknacks and whatnot. Speaker for the radio. No door sill protectors, something to consider, guys. They make a difference. And yeah, so you can see it's more of a base model, but it's built to do the job. And this thing with a couple 100,000 miles on it is going to have no problem, in my opinion. This interior is going to take the beating very nicely. You can just feel it, guys. You got to sit in one of these. You can just feel it's built to do the job. But I don't want to spend forever in here. I want to get up front where the fun is. Let's go into the driver's seat after we become a co-pilot. All right, so we're co-piloting the Highlander LE. One thing to tell you is that before we get excited, I noticed two little lines right here. A lot of times people don't know what those are, especially when you drive base model cars. That's for the smart key system. So this is actually a push button starter. So I can lock or unlock just like this, which is really nice. But working our way inside, this is what it looks like being the co-pilot of the new Highlander LE Hybrid. So for the front door, very similar to the back door. I'd say identical materials. We're breaking it up a little bit more with this flat black plastic here. It's not going to be a wood grain, not going to be a marble. No chrome door handles, just simple black plastic similar to the Corolla and Camry base. Nothing chrome and shiny. Well, one less thing to chip and look weird after the years go by, but you have the nice sparkly silver here to start breaking things up. Decent storage, one bottle to the front, and nice to see at the base level a courtesy / puddle light so you can see where you're walking and not step in anything nasty. They changed the Highlander emblem to black instead of gray because I think that gray was starting to get dingy really fast, so smart move on Toyota's part. And of course a manual seat for the front on this Highlander base model with the bar for the forward and back slider. Let's get inside. Great visibility. I'm gonna close the door. So the silver line here is nice. It brings your eyes up here and then it swishes over and it really brings your attention to the screen, which is not a massive screen, but the 8-inch screen is definitely suffice for many people. Of course, from the factory is this little plastic here. So there are a couple bubbles, but the new owner can pull that off and have that exciting experience. You have a tri-zone climate control on the Highlander. So at the base level, you get to have a separate temperature here, a separate temperature here, and a separate temperature in the back, which is great. I think things look very uniform. I mean, if you've never seen the Highlander before, you'll see it's very basic, it's very utilitarian, but it's modern. And sometimes people ask, does the screen fall down? No, it doesn't, but when you're sitting in the right position, it blends right into the line of the dash, which is great. You also have some piano black wrapped around the screen to really give you that nice large look of the infotainment system, plus your climate. If they did more of a silver color here, I feel like it would make that screen look very small. So they did a good job using colors to make the appropriate sizes of things. Also, nice thing you'll notice is you have the dark, soft dash here. It's not a hard dash like you see on some of the trucks and base cars. You have the soft, spongy dash. This does two things. It gives it better sound acoustics inside. Yeah, that's a real thing. It helps with the acoustics and also just the overall feel, like when you're leaning on it, when you put things on it, it's not going to scratch up. It's going to be very pleasurable to look at and touch. You can just see that it's soft. This is more of a dark gray sparkly. It's like a flat sparkly plastic here. No wood grain, it's not luxury. Then we have the shelves with the big borders. If you were previously in the last generation, these shelves were very shallow with minimal borders. They enhance the borders. Then you have that slightly padded material here with a real stitching and a really good sized glove box with a light, which is nice. The gray interior definitely brings a lot of life and light into the Highlander as opposed to the black interior, which definitely darkens things up. Let me know down below what kind of interior you guys like. I always get tossed up when it's time to purchase a vehicle about what color interior to get, but I think the gray goes very nice with the black. To me, the black on black could be a little bit gloom and doom. But, you know, you do have to worry about stains if you're more of a coffee drinker and you spill things. But, you know, black and gray, definitely something nice here. Let's jump inside the driver's seat, the best seat, the most important seat, the seat you want to be in of the Highlander, and then take this thing down the street and talk about the way it drives. So this is what it's like getting inside a brand new 2023 Toyota Highlander LE Hybrid. So identical here on the driver door, just a couple more switches. What I love about TNGA Toyotas, which if you're not familiar with TNGA, look that up and see how amazing it is. The TNGA frames definitely make the difference. The TNGA also gives you auto down and auto up on all 4 windows no matter what Toyota you get, which is awesome because when you're merging on the highway, you can just click, click, and let go and all 4 windows come up for you and encapsulate you in your own little world. Classic Toyota knob here for the mirrors. Great, love it. They're keeping things the same. Why reinvent the wheel? The only electronic seat in this car is the driver's seat, and it does not have a lumbar support. Did Toyota mess up by not giving you the lumbar support? Not too sure. You have to go XLE. In my opinion, if you're already giving me this, just give me the lumbar support, but to each their own. Locking floor mat for the driver with the Highlander badge. Classic Toyota storage all over the place. The steering wheel does telescope and raise and go up and down, raise and lower. Let's get inside. Start it up with a simple push of the brake and since it's a hybrid, the engine might not necessarily start right away. Yes, a fun fact, the way you know that this car is actually on is the ready symbol down below. Not listening for the engine, and even though the engine just turned on, you will experience many days where you start the car and the engine doesn't come on until you're up to speed. So here's where things are looking nice. Definitely looks good being a driver of a Highlander. This thing makes me feel like I'm in a little airplane. Everything is where it needs to be, in my opinion. You know, your drive modes are right by the shifter, right over here. The electronic parking brake, which is automatic, by the way. Disengages, re-engages. A simple slider for the center console. No wireless charging like you would get on the XLE, which was previously here, flip up and down. But I believe they now moved over to here, which to me is ergonomic because the flipper right here, I think it's just easier to have a tray like this. But it also depends on where you're buying the Highlander. Massive storage goes all the way down. This is elbow deep, guys. Elbow deep. So if you missed that giant milk jug carrier in the 2019s and older, you're still getting really good storage in the new Highlander, which is awesome. Pretty soft and spongy, similar to the dashboard, not plush and cushy like on a luxury vehicle, but just enough to save you from getting a sore elbow, just enough. I do gotta say the shifter design, the overhand grip, it just really feels natural to the hand. Pretty legible backup camera. I've seen better, I've seen worse, but it definitely does fine. And on our display, the arrows on the steering wheel will actually move me through some different menus here. So you'll see the icons on the left there. I can go through the different icons. I can see all different kinds of stuff about the Highlander. That'll kick in a little bit. This shows me how much power each wheel is getting, which systems are on. So yeah, at a base level, I have blind spot monitor, which is the little thing that's gonna light up orange on the mirror when somebody's in your blind spot. Nice to see at the base level. The rear cross traffic alert beeps when it senses movement behind you. It's not parking sonar, but it does sense movement like driving cars. I can also change some of the settings to Toyota Safety Sense, which, by the way, if you've never heard of that, Toyota Safety Sense is the frontal collision system that every Toyota has. Every Toyota now has a camera right up top over here and a radar device right behind the emblem. So you're getting features like your adaptive cruise control. So it'll actually slow down and speed back up on cruise control and it senses cars. Lane departure alert with steering assist. There's also lane trace assist to keep you in the center of the lane. A pre-collision system that will sense if you're going to hit a person or a car, and it will try to mitigate the crash if you don't respond on time. And one of my favorites, the automatic high beams. So if you leave the lights in auto, which yes, they're auto at the base level, you can turn on your auto high beams, and not only will you have daytime running lights, you never have to touch the lights ever again, and you never have to worry about the high beams, and you can even bypass it. So if you want the high beams on right away, you can just bypass it right there. And fog lights at the base level. So, you know, with the hybrid here, we're getting a lot of stuff at the base level, lots of equipment. Great to see. Also new for 2023, you will have to download the Toyota app and create an account and register your car to the app to really maximize your enjoyment of the software system. do check out the linked in the description and comments. There'll be a link to the video where I do a tutorial on the system in a gas model XLE, which is going to be the same as this. And it'll show you what the wireless CarPlay looks like and how to toggle between your Toyota interface and your Apple or Android, wireless by the way, CarPlay. For the climate control here, very easy to use. When everything is synchronized, I can control it all over here. To access the rear, I just hit the little rear climate, and then I can turn on the fan speed, change the air direction, change the temperature, and then I just hit rear climate to go back in the front. I can have a separate temperature for all three, or I can sync and control everything as a driver. So really easy to operate. My front defrosting wipers is right next to my rear defrosting window plus defrosting side mirrors plus front defroster. So if I go boom, 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 I got a full toaster, which is awesome. No heated seats, so you have to go XLE for the heated seats. There would be a heated seat button up here. And if you go higher than that to the Platinum, you're gonna get the chilled seats right over there. And with those, that would be a soft tech seat, not the cloth. So if you need those amenities, definitely look at the XLE. But I think these are great to see at the base level, especially defrosting mirrors, defrosting wiper blades. Great stuff. Now on the weather package to your XLEs, you'll also have an extra button here next to your hatchback for the heated steering wheel, which is great. But yeah, everything is easy to get to, and the nice thing about driving a Toyota is besides the push starter button, you can pretty much see all the controls from where you are. So there's no guesswork. There are no buttons in the back of here to find and guess and look around and try to see what was that button again. You don't have to search around. I mean, from here you can pretty much see everything. Yeah, I might have to lean a dot for this, but it makes sense that these would be here because these are buttons you're not really playing with while driving. Same thing as these. The brightness to the speedometer and the odometer and trip. All the important stuff though, like your stalks, those have been raised up for easier sight. Climate control, drive modes, nothing is hidden. Great to see on the Toyota. Up top real quick, just have my light controls. Also nice to see a simple little pilot light, whatever you call this. It's gonna light up all the time at nighttime and create a very dim light that's gonna help you see what's going on over here. So that's nice to see at the base level. And of course your sunglass or driving glass holder with a, there it is, conversation mirror. So you can talk to people easier. Also standard with all the new Toyotas is Safety Connect, which is like a OnStar system. It's a recovery system in case you get into an accident or have a medical emergency. Another reason to download that Toyota app and get connected. And many, not all, but many of the new Toyotas are coming now with a trial of Remote Connect, which is Toyota's remote starter, plus extra stuff, like locking, unlocking, and seeing different statuses on the vehicle. But without diving too deep, let's take this down the road, talk about the way it drives, especially since we can no longer get the V6, and wrap up the video, guys. Let's go. But it's nice that we're back by the church because we have a little bit of a off-roading experience on this bumpy gravel road. The suspension on this, I will say, is very smooth and it handles the bumps, craters, and crevices very nicely. It does a great job as a base hybrid Highlander handling that stuff. It's not jarring at all. If you were to get an XSE Highlander with the torque vectoring all-wheel drive and the firmer suspension with the stabilizer bars, you might feel it a little bit more of a firm suspension, but this, soft and comfortable. So I'm about half throttle going up the hill. It is 30 miles an hour here. Gets up to speed, no problem. Of course, if we're loaded up with people, it might be slightly different, but if you were to watch my gas model video, I also talk about the power being very sufficient. When you go into sport mode, it unlocks additional torque with the hybrid system that the gas model doesn't have. So I find these to be a little bit more torquey. The visibility is great. It's nice that the mirrors are on the door so you can kind of see past the mirrors. And the wind noise is very good. There's not a lot of wind noise, and today's been a pretty breezy, gloomy day, but the wind noise is very minimal. So I'm just going to slow down a little bit here since the car is warmed up, and we are in sport mode. I'm going to go down to about 30, and then I'm just going to give it a boost That's a full throttle boost here, and it kicks right in. There it is. So I would say it's a little different than the V6. Even hybrid to hybrid, though, this generation, before they did the engine change, your hybrids were 4-cylinder, but compared to that V6, not only are you getting the much better gas mileage, you get sufficient power as well. It just takes an extra second to kick in. The V6 is a little bit more instant on the power. The turbo, I would take 2.5 seconds, and then you start feeling that turbo kicking in, and it spools up, and the power is a little bit more exponential. But we're not in a racing SUV. We're not in a high-performance SUV. We're in a safe, reliable, comfortable SUV. The steering is very smooth. It's very light, which not all cars come with that, but on the Highlander, it does. It's very easy to steer this SUV. You don't feel like you're working hard. When I took one of these Highlanders on a long trip with my family, I never felt tired after driving for a long time, which is really nice. There's just something about it. It's smooth. And what's nice is with the engine not being on right now, it's quiet. The engine will typically cut out as you're slowing down at the lower speeds, and it'll start collecting energy from those brakes. And then at the higher speeds, it's going to collect energy from the engine. Handling the turns, I'd say it does good. If you're loaded up with 7 or 8 people, it's definitely going to feel a little bit different, but never in a Highlander have I felt like it wasn't taking a turn the way it should. If you're more of a speed demon, but you need the space, look into the XSE. The transmission, it's not a geared 8-speed transmission, so it's a CVT. It's the hybrid CVT, so it's different than your typical CVT, so it feels like it's one gear. But as you step on that pedal more, you just feel more power continuously at your fingertips, or at the tip of your foot, for better words. All right, let's get this Highlander back safe to the dealer and conclude the video. So there you have it, guys. We checked out the outside, the inside, and drove the 2023 Highlander LE Hybrid. Let me know what you think down below in the comments, and if it's the first time you're watching my videos, thank you so much for checking me out. And to my subscribers and supporters, thank you so much, guys. Without you, this channel would be nothing. I want to know what you think, and as you know, you can find me down below in the comments. I will see you in the next video. Peace.